So unless Congress acts to fully repeal this thing and passes the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act, which there's a version of in the Senate from Senator Tuberville and the House with Congressman Davidson of Ohio, small business owners will never be completely out of the woods because a future administration can come in and decide, you know what, we disagreed with the Trump administration and we're going to make 32 million small business owners file again because they will likely still have the authority to do so.
The Small Business Rundown is the official podcast of the National Federation of Independent Business, the member-driven voice of small business. NFIB and our members advocate to keep America's small businesses strong and independent in Washington, D.C., all 50 states, and the nation's courts.
Today, we're releasing a bonus episode of the Small Business Rundown focused on federal beneficial ownership requirements. To explain the latest on this federal mandate, we'll hear from Executive Director and Vice President of the Small Business Legal Center, Beth Milito, and Vice President of Federal Government Relations, Jeff Brabant. Thanks for joining me here on the Small Business Rundown.
It's great to be with you all today. This has really been a roller coaster ride for small business owners and for those of us here at NFIB who have been fighting back against the Corporate Transparency Act and the beneficial ownership reporting. Hasn't it been, Jeff?
Yeah, it absolutely has been, Beth. And I'm happy to be here talking about a big win for small business. Rather than something that went wrong, we can talk about something positive. So I'm real happy to talk about that today, Beth.
Right. So yeah, you've got the really exciting news, Jeff, and I'll just give our listeners a quick update on where things stand because of course NFIB has been fighting the beneficial ownership reporting, I will say on three fronts, right? We've been fighting it in Congress, we've been fighting it with the White House, the Treasury Department, and then we've been fighting back against it in the courts too, where we have our lawsuit too. So I'll share first a quick update on where NFIB's lawsuit stands. It is pending right now in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. And we have an expedited oral argument scheduled for April 1st. So we are hoping that the court will issue a favorable decision shortly thereafter. So right now, though, things are still pending in court. In the interim, though, thanks to the good news we had from the White House, which paused BOI reporting indefinitely, business owners do not need to file their beneficial ownership report. And we have more information about that. That will be in the show notes there if anybody has questions or wants the link to FinCEN's website. But I will repeat that again. Business owners do not need to file their BOI report at this time. And if you have filed your report, because we do get questions about that, there's nothing further you need to do at this time. I will also note that if you choose to go ahead and file, because the portal is still open on FinCEN's website, we do want to make sure that business owners are aware of the fact that filing directly on FinCEN's website, which is fincen.gov, is free. There is no charge to file a BOI report. So please ignore any scammers, anything that's coming from say a BOI.com. You want to make sure you're filing directly on the .gov website, and there is no charge to file. It is free. But again, let me just reiterate, I can't underscore this enough. At this time, business owners do not need to file their BOI report. So, Jeff, let me kick it over to you now to share more about the great announcement that we got from the White House.
Thank you, Beth. And it's a great relief to many of you listening, to many business owners, because as a reminder, this requirement was going to affect businesses with 20 or fewer employees and less than 5 million revenue. An estimated 32 million LLCs were going to be affected by this. And the White House decided, you know what, this is too much. This is going too far. We're not going to enforce this act. And you know what, we're also going to rewrite the rule. We're going to look at a new rule saying instead of going after a needle in a haystack and going after 32 million small business owners, this is only going to apply to foreign reporting companies, foreign-owned businesses. So that is a huge, huge win for small business owners, for NFIB members, for American small businesses that aren't going to have to deal with this in the near future here. So huge win for NFIB. That's what the rule at least we're anticipating what it will look like. We have to see what it's going to look like, but that's what Treasury and the White House have announced. So that's a big thing. But as a reminder, this is a great win. And we are going to take this and be very happy about it. And American small business owners should be thrilled. But an administration can change a rule, and a future administration can change it again. So unless Congress acts to fully repeal this thing and passes the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act, which there's a version of in the Senate from Senator Tuberville and the House with Congressman Davidson of Ohio. Small business owners will never be completely out of the woods because a future administration can come in and decide, you know what, we disagreed with the Trump administration and we're going to make 32 million small business owners file again because they will likely still have the authority to do so. So Congress still needs to act. We still need to fight on this. And we still encourage you to take action. Go to nfib.com/protect-privacy. There's an action alert you can fill out. You can support the Repealing Big Brother Overreach Act because, we anticipate you're going to have relief in the near to medium term, and that's great. But we need permanent relief. We need this thing to go away forever so we're not here at the whims of new administrations. So I encourage you to take action. Again, nfib.com/protect-privacy to make sure we get a permanent win. But in the near term, I think we could all breathe a sigh of relief and be very, very happy with the decision the White House and Department of Treasury made.
Yeah, that was great news, Jeff. And I will add on for business owners who still have questions or have questions at any point, reach out to NFIB, info@nfib.org. We are happy to answer your questions. We will continue, of course, to keep our members updated. Jeff and I are hoping we don't have to send out any more email blasts with the back and forth changes. I hope the White House decision to pause this stands until the courts and Congress both act to overturn the Corporate Transparency Act for good.
And thanks for that, Beth. And while we have a good win here, I want to thank all of our members who have already taken action. We can't do what we do without you. It's our strength as a small business organization, as NFIB, is in our numbers. So thank you to all of you who have contacted your legislator, who have contacted the White House. We couldn't have had this win without you.
So, Jeff, any business owners with questions about the status of BOI, where things stand, can reach out to NFIB. You can email us at info@nfib.org. And you can go to our website to find more information at nfib.com/protect-privacy. Jeff, is there anything else you want to add?
Absolutely, Beth. And just a reminder, this is an ongoing issue. Please stay vigilant. Please continue to be active. Please continue to visit the websites we've talked about. And this is going to come up at the state level as well. We've already seen it in New York State. So just because we're well situated today doesn't mean we will be in the future. And we need to remain vigilant for when there's new threats on these types of issues in the states and at the federal government. So please keep an eye out for alerts from NFIB and please remain vigilant and keep doing what you're doing to be active to help the cause. Before we wrap for the day, Beth, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I will just say that we are going to update our members after our oral arguments in our case on April 1st. So stay tuned for more information on how the argument went.
Thank you, Beth.
I want to thank everyone for listening today. I hope everyone will tune in for our next regular Small Business Rundown next week.
And if there's anything you'd like us to cover on the podcast, please send us an email at podcast@nfib.org. And now I want to thank you, the listeners, for joining us on today's Small Business Rundown. We'll be back every 2 weeks bringing you news and analysis from Washington, D.C. and state capitals so that you, whether you're a small business owner or a supporter of one, can continue to blaze a trail.
The Small Business Rundown is brought to you by NFIB, the voice of small business. You can find us at nfib.com and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.